G'day. G'day, Wayne. Toxicon, Deletist. Ask away. It's pretty straightforward commentary, I guess. Everybody seems polarized completely, online, offline, anywhere now. Real life is now the same as online, and it's all fake news. You know, you don't even know where to look, where to go. Everybody just wants a team to be on, and at a certain point you take a look at those teams and they're all kind of fucked. It is a little bit of a roller coaster to ride. The first verse is very much, I guess you would say, the right side of things, and the snowflakes and this and that. But then the second verse is from the other perspective as well. And then after that there's the breakdown, and it's kind of a look at both sides and what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And how long are we going to do it for? It was never meant to be much more than sort of a look at what's happening at the moment, and what's happened since we've even written it. Is just plays into it even more. I don't want to say anything too out of control and get taken the wrong way. I guess one of my biggest fears is somebody thinking that something I write in like this kind of song, especially where it's a commentary, is how I feel. Anyone that knows me knows I talk a fair bit of shit constantly. It's pretty much what I do, especially if there's some beers involved. And on social media, the same thing that I'm caning on this song, that's where I sit there and I'll talk heaps of shit. So, I mean, the opening line, crying online, is not real life, yet I cry online all the time. I have massive bitch sessions at people. It can be a bit hypocritical, but I think everybody gets on and has a bit of a sook these days. As long as the dialogue is back and forth, you get a chance to change your mind. I change my mind all the time. I'm wrong all the time. Sometimes I say something inflammatory just to see what other people think and where that issue sits on a social level. The first verse was line after line. It's things that I've heard, it's things that I've said, it's things that you think sometimes. It's not always how it is though. The second was things that I've heard, seen, that I don't agree with as well. We'll talk about George Pell. When I first started writing the song, he was all through, and obviously that I knew at the time too that line would age and eventually no one would know who he is, but I kind of wanted to keep it anyway. It kind of, I mean, you don't want him to be known, but you kind of want people to remember. I go through in that verse, talk about the rats of tradition on a sinking ship. Like they're just going to run to the high ground and screech and scream and take all the room and eat all the food. Like they don't want to go down with the ship. They don't want to jump off the ship and swim until the last minute. And I think that's very much what's happening at the moment. Another line that I really like is the praying to the screens. There used to be, like, obviously religion, people would pray to their God before bed. You know, you do your prayers at the side of the bed. Now people pull out a screen when they go to bed and they watch it religiously. Whatever they see on their screen is what they worship. One of my lines is symbol for knowledge, the sign of a slave. So an apple. An apple is the symbol for knowledge. Adam and Eve, the apple wasn't an apple, it was knowledge. The snake was the devil, he was giving them knowledge. It's all meant to be metaphorical. So in the real life, like in the new world, apple, not necessarily apple itself, I think that was just a fun little analogy, but an apple was a symbol for knowledge. And now we're all slaves to the screen. We're slaves to our phones, and I am one of them. I'm hopelessly addicted. So, I mean, I wrote the lyrics for this in probably 2018, 2019, and that was before shit hit the fan. Obviously no one would have ever seen what was coming, but I could still sense that it was still the same. There was this division, there's a push for division, whether it's some nefarious boardroom full of the world's most powerful people sitting around it. How can we get people to fight? I don't really think it's like that. I just think that there's more money to be made when people are angry at each other. And people have really just soaked in their phones, and their social media is now a part of their frontal cortex. It's a part of your reality. It's virtual reality without actually going into a virtual world. There's a war for your attention, and there's a war for your emotion. I saw that coming. I saw that it's just getting worse and worse, and was writing a social commentary on that. And then COVID hit, and everything became so much more polarized in the world and political, and now people that I know that were never political before have almost fist fights in real life over like some stupid shit that they saw a YouTuber talk about. Like, it's mental, and that's all just made exactly what I was saying in my original lyrics to be even more so. And I mean, you could almost not, if you didn't know that I wrote it before, you would think I wrote it because of. Except for a couple of throwaway lines, like the Pell line, but everything else is pretty much how it is, tenfold to when I actually wrote it. I love the beat as soon as I got it. It's a real stomp. It's a real fuck you. It had aggression, and it had a purpose from the beginning. So it was always going to be some sort of commentary on something, and it was a little bit different to the sort of stuff that we usually do. It was a bit slower paced. It was a little bit more stompy. So I tried to come up with a new sort of vocal styling for it, or something a bit different that you wouldn't expect. And it ended up with this real bouncy kind of a nu metal-y kind of flow. I wouldn't say hip hop, but it definitely had a rhyme feel to it. And I do rhyme the ends of all my lines. We kind of came in with this idea that I would go as brutal as yet understandable as I could muster. So I tried to put on like a bit of a Phil Anselmo kind of setup with, but then like getting the pronunciation of the words was actually pretty hard during recording, until I got used to holding that voice for extended periods, and I practiced that a lot. So I think it came out well, and I'm looking forward to using that in the toolbox moving forward. I think it was pretty cool. So that was sort of step one, and then writing it itself, the chorus just kind of rocked up. I didn't really put any thought into the chorus. It really wrote itself. I just wanted to do a really long, like, yell, I guess, over a section of it, just to break it apart and to sort of take the attention off that really bouncy rhythm of the verses. I wanted to break it up, and so annihilation was a great word to use, and it summed up the story of the song. So that kind of just wrote itself. It was probably, out of the whole album, the chorus that I spent the least amount of time on. I just knew I wanted a big old layered up word, so once I found that word I was like, mint, that'll do. Like, and then I concentrated on the verses. The first two verses were fairly quick and easy. After that, I wrote that before the boys gave me the entire song. They just gave me those bits, and then I got the rest of it back, and they kind of took it in a new direction suddenly after that second chorus. And I was like, well, what do I do here? It's a small section, and I've kind of still got something I want to say. I don't want to just have the right and the left viewpoints, because then it's kind of doesn't make sense. So I kind of had to wrap it up after that, and I was like, what do I do here? So that bit was the hardest to write, because I had too much intention wanting to go in there with something to say. Economy of words is hard. You got to try and take the best bits and get your story out really quickly. I feel like I achieved that, and I really liked kind of how it came out. And then the ending was just fun. I think I didn't even write that. I think we rocked up in the studio and I just sort of threw bits and pieces out. I had ideas, but I didn't solidly write any lyrics for that section. I just had these ideas, and I was like, we're going to make these fit in, and we're going to make them cool, and we're going to layer them up, and that's when the strings are going to come in, and it's just going to be a big sort of a big kind of operatic ending, which I guess is the final metaphor for the song in real life. It's a big operatic ending. Thanks for stopping by. Go on.
Go and get.